Hey all, today we're going to be taking a look at Ryan's 2,000 point dwarf list. So, diving straight in, what's the theme behind this list, Ryan?
So really, it's just like the first iteration dwarfs, bit of all comers, I guess. A little bit of shooting, bit of combat, and a couple of war machines as well for some dwarf shootiness.
Give you sort of a taste for all the different aspects of playing dwarves.
Yeah, just no runesmith. Maybe next time.
Yeah, so that it's kind of like diving in to the dwarves and moving so that you can later on branch down specific routes.
Yeah. It's got a bit of everything, and then maybe later specialised more shooting, maybe specialised no shooting, take some runesmiths, bit engineers maybe.
Cool. Anyone watching, if you have a favourite dwarf list that you have used, we're looking, again, it doesn't have to be the strongest list or the most competitive, but the best themed or the best fun to play. We'd love to hear it. Jumping straight into your list then, as your Lord choice, you've got a Dwarf Lord in Gromrel armour with a Rune of Stone, Shield, Master Rune of Swiftness, 2 Runes of Cleaving, and a Master Rune of Spite. So that's 265 points. That's a lot of stuff. Talk me through what that does and what he's for.
So it's the Lord choice, so comes 4 attacks base, high weapon skill, is strength 4 base, and toughness 5, which is important for survivability. The Gromrel armor, Rune of Stone, and the shield gets him up to a 2-up armor save. The Rune of Spite is a 4-up ward, so adding to that survivability. Then for the combat output, it's 4 attacks. 2 Rune of Cleaving puts him up to strength 6. And then I guess the little cheeky hidden one is the Master Rune of Swiftness. So dwarves are usually not going to be charging, but if you get charged, you've got always strike first with 4 attacks, weapon skill 7, so should be hitting on 3s and strength 6. So it should neuter any charge that you take a little bit. Yeah. And he tends to go with just a basic unit of dwarf warriors. So it helps them to be able to actually get some work done as well in return.
Okay, so generally speaking, he's sort of holding the line in the centre.
Yeah, it's the Lord choice. It's a lot of points, but he's survivable and high leadership and high toughness, and he slaps in combat as well.
Pretty much, yeah. You can go toe-to-toe with most characters, really. I think, again, that toughness 5 is really going to throw it there. With the first of the hero choice, we've got Thane in Gromrel armour, Rune of Stone with 2 Runes of Iron, a Runic hand weapon, and a Rune of Cleaving. And he's also the BSB. 143 points.
Yeah, so again, it's another Thane. Got 3 attacks, high weapon skill, strength and toughness 4. So still survivable. He's got extra armor save from the Rune of Stone, a 5-up ward to help him be a little bit survivable as well. Rune of Cleaving for a bit more strength, so he'll be base strength 5, still 3 attacks, strength 5. And then the BSB, obviously just to help with the combat res or not breaking in combat. Keep the dwarf line strong.
Yeah, I don't get that. You've got, how many big units of dwarves have you got in here? 3?
3 and a unit slayers.
So yeah, a character in each of those units that it just makes them really punchy, so you can hold that core of your army right in the middle.
He tends to go with the Ironbreakers as well.
Okay.
So they should be holding on their own, but he goes in there, adds a little bit more punch, and they'll probably be the center of the army as well, or center of the line, so it helps left and right.
The last hero is another Thane. This one's got a great weapon, light armor, and the Master Rune of Gromrel.
So again, it's just another character. 3 attacks, high weapon skill. Great weapon, puts him up to strength 6 again. The idea with this is it's another cheap hero.
He's only 86 points.
Yeah, cheap hero. Some more attacks, and then the light armor is just to adorn with the Gromrel rune for a 1-up armor save. So hopefully a bit survivable as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's to be sniffed at, having that great weapon in there. Okay, so that's all your heroes. We're going to move on to the core choices. Starting off with a unit of 10 Quarrelers, and you've chucked some shields on them.
Yeah, shields for points, slightly survivability. Really, they're just there to babysit the war machines. So 10 crossbow shots.
30-inch range.
30-inch range is the big thing. Protect the war machines. If there's any fast cav trying to sneak around, if you get a couple of crossbow bolts through, it might cause a panic check to just help your war machine stick around a bit longer. And that's what they're for.
Fair enough. Going on to 19 Dwarf Warriors, shields, heavy armour, full command. Is this just your basic sword and board unit?
Basic sword and board, babysit the big slappy lord.
No, it makes sense. They also, I guess the only thing to point out here, and I suppose this stands for all the dwarves, is that is it movement 3, but they can always march?
Movement 3, always march, but
so
they're probably never charging. but they're just there, I guess, ablative wounds. They are toughness 4 as well.
Okay.
They got heavy armor and shield, so reasonable save. So hopefully survivable. High leadership. They're there to babysit the Lord, and in theory they can do some work against general infantry.
And then we've got a second unit of Dwarf Warriors. This one with great weapons, heavy armor, full command.
Yeah, again, same difference as the first unit. It's for a hero to go in.
Why'd you go for the great weapons over just another unit of hand weapon shields?
So I think with that, the option to put the Lord in there, so they get charged. The Lord will put some work into whoever charged them, and then you've got a load of great weapon attacks coming back.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because hopefully your front rank isn't just wiped on the charge.
I think 225 points isn't ridiculous either for a big block of dwarves.
No, and they got heavy armor. I don't know if the great weapons take shields.
No, not usually.
No. So they've got heavy armor. So in theory, if the Lord is always strike first, will kill a few of the charging unit. So it allows them to hit back quite hard as well.
Cool. So then we're going on to the special choices. We've got 22 Ironbreakers. Full command, and they've got the Rune of Battle. So talk me through this unit.
So these are obviously just the more elite infantry, higher weapon skill, their strength and toughness 4, and then Gromrel armor, shield, hand weapons gives them decent save. They should be doing reasonably well in combat. If not, they should just be holding, and the Rune of Battle gives them +1 to their combat res to just help tip it over.
Like a war banner or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Now, how do you usually position these? It says 22 is a strange number. Are you going 4 wide or 5 wide?
I think it's 6 wide, and then with the option to have 2 characters in the unit.
Okay, so you're maximising that frontage to get more attacks back.
Yeah. But I think, actually, after writing the list, after playing with it, or before playing with it, I had some feedback that you don't put all your characters in there because that's a trap, so don't do it. So maybe a slight tweak required, but that was the thought process.
I guess the worry with dwarves is you get outmaneuvered, and if
you're going to get outmaneuvered. There is nothing you can do about that.
They got little legs. Moving on to one of my favourite units, just thematically. Unit of 20 Slayers with a standard and a Giant Slayer for 244 points.
So they are just actually a bit of a tar pit. So they have no armor. They die very easily. They are toughness 4, but no armor is obviously a big deal. The idea is, with Unbreakable, it doesn't matter what goes into them. There's 20 of them. It's probably going to take a turn or 2 or 3 to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So if they go into the wrong target, they're just going to sit there and tie it up. If they go into the right target, then they should make pretty good work of it with the Slayer special rule. So they've always got the appropriate strength versus toughness to get some wounds through.
Yeah, and I suppose, again, 244 points, not horrendous. You know, the Ironbreakers, you really need to do work at 341 points. But the Slayers, you can chuck them forward. If they're taking hits from fanatics, it's not the end of the world. No. I guess the only thing you don't want them is falling to sort of like light ranged.
Yeah,
kind of
peppering with shots. But also, I think part of it is it's a dwarf list and dwarfs and Slayers.
True. And
secondly, if they're taking loads of the enemy's range attacks, it's not going elsewhere. I don't generally expect the Slayers to do loads of work, but I think people, for whatever reason, seem to have this like fear of Slayers because there's a bunch of guys charging.
Read too much Gotrek and Felix. That's what it is.
That's it.
Okay, then we're going on to the War Machines. So we've got a Grudge Thrower with a Rune of Accuracy and a Cannon with a Rune of Forging. So again, 110 points for the Grudge Thrower and 135 for the Cannon.
Yeah, so it's just general artillery, nothing special. I think before playing them, I was like, oh, it's dwarves. Artillery is going to be really good. But actually, the artillery is still only as good as your range guessing and as good as your artillery dice.
Yeah.
So
what does the Rune of Accuracy do on the Grudge Thrower?
That allows you to reroll your scatter die.
Okay, it makes them a bit more reliable.
Yeah,
and the Rune of Forging?
Rune of Forging is to reroll the misfire.
Okay. I'd take that on Empire every day of the week if I could have it.
Yeah, but it's a dwarf cannon. It's baby cannon. It's only D3 wounds. It's not the same as the Empire cannon, but it's still, I mean, it's artillery. It can do good work if you've got good range guessing and you don't succumb to the artillery dice. So
yeah, going into the rare slot, we've got an organ gun for 125 points.
Yeah, just again more of the same. It's automatic hits. It's only short range, which I found was a little bit difficult in playing.
So deployment is really important for that one.
Yes, I think it's only 18-inch range, so you've got to wait for things to come to you, but they're going to anyway, unless you're playing a standoff army.
Yeah.
But it's automatic hits and it's strength 5 and high armor piercing, so it's good for taking down Black Orcs.
I guess, yeah. The other thing would be if you turn 1 somebody flies some flyers straight towards all your war machines. Normally, shooting them with quarrelers, you're hitting them on 5s and 6s. It's going to be a nightmare. Whereas at least with the organ gun, you're guaranteeing those hits. You're probably going to take a lot of those flyers down.
Yeah.
Same with maybe if you come up against a beastman army or wood elves, something where you're trying to take some units out of the woods. At least those auto hits. I find a similar thing with a Hellblaster volley gun, but obviously that just blows up every turn 1 anyway. So this may be a little bit more reliable.
Yeah, a little bit more reliable, but short range, and I think that's the biggest penalty for it. I did find building dwarves, I lent in my head before I'd done it that they're going to have really good shooting, really good artillery, but
yeah,
I think just 6th edition is not geared to really good shooting and really good artillery. I think
unless,
that's part of the fun of the game.
Unless you go fully into shooting where everything's a gun line. So overall, looking at an army as a whole, we've got 3 big units of dwarves and some slayers. And then you've got your artillery hill, hopefully, with a unit of quarrelers. Each of the units got some dwarf lords in. So everything can stand for itself. Is there anything you would change about this list going forward that you think you would like differently, or a different unit you'd like in them, or to try?
Actually, playing this list, I really enjoyed how it played. I think it was quite strong into orcs and goblins. The artillery was less effective, and that's how I learned. But I would like next to just go for like a full gun line or a full gun line-ish, because you can't really do a full gun line in 6th edition, I don't think. But just to see if that plays, if you lean more into it, does it do more what you think a dwarf gun line should do?
So stick it in the comments if you've got a cool list for a gun line that you think Ryan should play. Chuck it in there, and then we'll fire the 3D printer up. Or as I said, if you've got any other things, I know you've got a Slayer list on the back burner, which would be cool to see on the channel. But I also, one thing I always love about dwarves, I love all the mechanisms, the gyrocopters and the other things. So I'd like to see them have a go. But lots of fun lists to come out. So stick them in the comments. We'll maybe revisit this in the future with another army list and then some battle reports with the dwarves. Well, thanks, Ryan. And everybody make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.